All right, welcome. Hi, Celine. Good to see you here. Welcome, welcome. We are going live now. We are live on YouTube, Instagram, my Facebook fan page, and two of our groups inside Facebook. So, welcome everyone. It's good to see you guys again. Just wanted to get settled and get ready for a really, really wonderful session. And so we're going to be here together for approximately 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, depending on questions. And I always love to over deliver. So even though we typically block off 30 minutes, I also love taking questions. And there was a question that was submitted in advance. I'll definitely get to that question after we get through the teaching part of our call today. So for those of you that are joining on any of the platforms, I want to welcome you here. It's always a pleasure to serve you. I'm here with Celine, and Celine is going to jump between all platforms, and she'll share links with you, anything that I referenced during our time together. And what I do suggest is, hello, hey, Renata, you're here. Great. I'm happy that you're here because I'm going to get to your question today. And anyone else that's here, I want to welcome you as well. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about a very important subject. And that subject is prosperity. But what I'd like to ask you before we dive into the training part is, how many of you would love to experience more prosperity in your life? Just type in the little chat box and let me know if that's something that you're looking to enjoy more of, is prosperity. If we think about prosperity, we can think of it in terms of riches, wealth, money, whatever that means to you, prosperity, whatever that is. So how many of you would love, love, love to be enjoying more prosperity in your life? Raise your hand. Absolutely, says Corey Lynn. Wonderful. Me, says Jay. All right, great stuff. And who else do we have here? Yes, absolutely. Welcome. Okay, good. Perfect. I see your hand raised. I love that. Okay, so let's talk about today's topic. And we chose the topic for today for a very good reason. And the reason why we chose this topic is because it's a topic that a lot of people would really love to experience more of, and that is prosperity. So today's topic is the one habit that you must have to experience greater prosperity. And what I'd love for you to know and understand before I dive deeper into this is that this habit is a habit that may sound overly simplistic, and yet very, very, very few people are in this habit. Therefore, very, very few people are enjoying the kind of prosperity that they would love to have. And when we think about the question that I asked, like how many of you would love to be enjoying more prosperity? And many responded, me, absolutely, of course. That is a very natural response. And I would expect that kind of response. And the reason why I would expect that kind of response is because prosperity is something that many people would love to have more of. And the reason is not so that they have more money, the reason is because of the freedom that it offers them. The freedom to do what you want, when you want, the freedom perhaps to serve in greater ways, that wonderful opportunity to help others or to donate or build your own cause or whatever that reason is. If you just took a moment and you imagined for a moment that you have all the prosperity that you would love. I want you to think about that as I'm asking you this question right now. Just think about if you had all the money that you ever needed. In other words, you were financially set for life. Imagine that, okay? Just imagine that if you will. As you're imagining that and thinking about what that looks like for you, you may be imagining that you're earning the kind of money that you'd love to be earning. You may be imagining that you have a certain amount of money in your bank account. You may imagine that your investments are at a certain point. You may be imagining that your net worth is at a certain level. But whatever it is that you are imagining, as you're imagining that, I would like you to share with me and think about this. How does it feel? When you think about being financially set for life, how does that feel? How does it feel? And when I asked you to imagine that, were you really genuinely imagining it? Were you sitting back and maybe put a smile on your face, maybe looking up? Because a lot of people look up when they're thinking, and a lot of people look up when they're thinking positive. When people are thinking negative, they look down. So when you're thinking positive and you're looking up and you're imagining, okay, Peggy, I am financially set for life. And what I'm seeing is, millions of dollars in my bank accounts, my personal net worth at this point, your investments here and donations there, or whatever that is. What are you feeling? Now, what you're feeling in that moment, it may not be the same for every single person that's listening to this. For one, it might just feel relaxing, right? And as you're even thinking about it, you're breathing deeper. Your shoulders are coming down. Perhaps you're sitting back, you're looking up, and you're just feeling this great sense of joy or gratitude, perhaps. Maybe it's gratitude that you're feeling, knowing that you're financially set for life. And you're just sitting there going, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Whether you're thanking the creator, whether you're thanking the universe, whatever, or whoever you're thanking, you're just feeling that great sense of, yes, I'm there. And what you do in that moment, in that experience is that you're connecting the thought with an emotion. You're connecting a thought with an emotion, but it's the emotion that's right for you. So for you to feel financially set for life, maybe a little bit different than the next person or the next person. And it's not a right or wrong answer. I'm not looking for you to have the right answer to this question. What I'm guiding you to do is to think a little different, to think of prosperity, but to think of prosperity as if it's yours, not someone else. Not observing someone else who's very wealthy or someone else that's really enjoying prosperity, but for you to think about what it means to you and for you to imagine what that feels like for you. And if you're following along as I'm suggesting this, what you just did was you allowed an idea to come into your consciousness through my words, because in your conscious mind, you do have that ability to reject or accept. Now, I suspect if you're on here right now, you're accepting this idea, and really, why wouldn't you? It's a great idea. But as you're accepting that idea, it's like a seed. Now, you decide right now, is this the experience that you would love to have in your life from this day forward? Is it? And if the answer is yes, which I assume that it would be, why wouldn't it be, right? Of course it's going to be a yes. Then what you must do with that idea is you must implant it or embed it into your subconscious mind so it becomes a part of you, becomes a part of your daily thinking. It becomes a part of your experience as well. But in order for you to have that experience of greater prosperity in your life, you must, and I say that word must with loving intention, you must practice thinking as a prosperous person right now. Not sometime in the future, not when the money is here, but right now, in advance of it. And when you do that, what happens is you actually activate a vibration within you that draws to you the outcome that you desire. When and only when you're genuinely feeling it in your heart. Now, as I said when we started, this may sound overly simplistic, but what happens is because of your belief systems that are already created, that have already been established, that were there, that were built since the day you were born, their beliefs are so strong, your beliefs are so strong within you, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time to change them, to replace them, and replace the beliefs with new beliefs that are only going to support you and draw to you what you desire. So if you're willing to do the work, and I'll tell you what the work is in a minute, if you're willing to do the work, then you will reap the benefits. You'll definitely reap the benefits. But I cannot, I cannot express just how powerful your existing paradigms are and what's going to be required for you in this process of experiencing more prosperity in your life is for you to really be managing your thoughts and your feelings. You want to manage your thoughts and your feelings, and you want to get into the habit of thinking and feeling as a prosperous person. So write that down. You want to get into the habit of thinking and feeling as a prosperous person, because that is the one habit that will have you experience greater and greater prosperity, for you to be in the habit of thinking and feeling as a prosperous person. But then you may ask, well, how do I do that, Peggy? How do I do that, Peggy? I'm going to tell you how to do that. All right. And as I said at the beginning, take notes as you're listening to this. Don't just sit here and go, oh, this is interesting or fascinating. Oh, I like that idea. You must follow through. I can't do it for you. You have to follow through. And I know when I personally started studying personal development in January 1979, and I was listening to fabulous messages, and I was listening to the wisdom of Bob Proctor, I know my life would not have changed to the degree that it's changed if I had not followed through. So we have to seek to first have an understanding, and then we implement. Now, the understanding is quite simple. It's simple. It is not complicated. The understanding is simple. The application is the more challenging part. It's not as easy or not easy. And the only reason why is because of your paradigms, because of the way that you're currently programmed. So how do you change that? How do you wake up every day thinking and feeling as a prosperous person when you've got a debt, hovering over yourself, or you're not earning the kind of money that you would love to be earning, or whatever, other reasons why? Well, you choose what you focus on. The truth is, every one of you, are in control of how you feel always, in all ways. Always, in all ways. You're always in control of that. So even if a bill arrives in the mail and it's a credit card statement, as an example, and I've had this experience way back when, and that credit card statement balance is significantly more than what you thought, or it's what you thought, but you're freaking out because you're not sure how to pay it. That is what's called a lack mentality. So could you actually be getting a credit card statement or some other statement, and could you look at it and yet feel prosperous and think prosperous at the same time? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because what you'll start to do is override the previous programming. You override the previous program by choosing what you're going to think and what you're going to feel. So if you decide that you're going to be this prosperous person and you're going to experience prosperity in your life in whatever way that is, what you do is you sit down and you define what is prosperity in your life. What does it mean for you to have prosperity in your life? You take a pen and paper and you write down your goals. And yes, money goals are prosperity goals too. It could be the amount of money you want to earn. It could be the amount of money you want to generate in your business if you're a business person, an entrepreneur. It could be the profit margin if you're a business person. It could be the kinds of investments that you want to have, or how much money you'd like to have in investments. It could be your net worth. It could be a certain amount of money that's in your bank account. Whatever it is, you set some goals. But as you're writing those goals, you write them down as if you already have it in your life now. And the truth is, the money is not really what you're going for. It's the feeling. It's the feeling of what it will mean to you, or what you decide it means to you, is really what you're searching for. So when I asked you earlier, like, imagine that you're abundantly rich, or imagine that you have all the prosperity that you desire, what does that feel like? What you did in that moment is you connected to the feelings by imagining what it would feel like. And ultimately, that's really what you're going for when you're setting these financial goals. It's a sense of accomplishment, or it's a sense of relaxation. It's just a sense of fulfillment, whatever that is. That's really what you're looking to experience. And so when you define what your financial goals are and you connect to them emotionally as if they're already done, and you do that on a repetitive basis, you develop the habit of thinking and feeling as a prosperous person. You develop the habit. So there's disciplines that you can be involved in that can help you and can contribute to you experiencing more prosperity. And one of those disciplines is the discipline of reprogramming your subconscious mind through space-time repetition, of continually implanting the ideas that are only in harmony with what you desire through space-time repetition, of either affirming specific things over and over again, like I am prosperity, I am a multimillionaire, I am abundantly rich, I always have an abundance of money to do whatever I want to do, whatever that is, billionaire, if that's what you love to be, I'm a happy and a healthy billionaire. And so you declare that. That's one of the things that you're doing every day, one of your disciplines that you're involved in every single day, and you're declaring that every single day and connecting it to the feeling of the words that you're saying. It's not enough to just think it. It's not enough to say it. You must feel it in your heart. You must feel that you're already prosperous. And at first, it's going to probably feel, depending on where your financial situation is right now, it'll very likely feel awkward. It's not going to feel right. It may even feel like you're lying to yourself. And that's okay. Because you've probably heard this expression, if you hear something over and over again, you will start to believe it. And that's why impressing your subconscious mind over and over and over again with either affirmations or powerful statements every single day will change how you're thinking and will change how you're feeling. Now, my technique is the Power Life Script. One of my techniques, powerlifescript.com. You can check it out, powerlifescript.com. And essentially what that is where you write a detailed description of you living your life. And whether it's prosperous life, abundantly rich life, fulfilled life, you describe your life as if you're living it now, abundantly rich. So what does that mean? It could be things like you're living in the home that you would love to live in, you're driving the vehicle that you would love to drive, you're donating to certain charities that you love, maybe you're helping loved ones or family members, and you're actively involved in the experience of your life by imagining it. You see, the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. Therefore, if you impress in your subconscious mind through the habit of thinking and feeling prosperous every single day, you will become prosperous. Most people don't invest the time to do this. Most people aren't willing to do what I'm talking about. But as you're hearing, and I hope you're understanding, this isn't complicated, right? It's rather simple. And when you truly do follow through with it, you're going to find and experience the magic of having a prosperity consciousness and what that can and will bring to you and your life. Because it works. It works for everyone. One of my favorite subjects is money and prosperity consciousness. I love speaking about this. I wrote a book on it. It's called 21 Distinctions of Wealth, to really help people understand prosperity. And I was raised in a poor family. Like, I was raised in a tiny little home, and I'm grateful that we had a home. And I'm grateful that I had a roof over my head and that there was food on the table. But my parents weren't. They were raised in a poor environment as well. I remember my father telling me about when he was a child. And when my father's mother was pregnant with him, his father died unexpectedly. So here's his mom, it's my dad's mom, which would be my grandmother, who is pregnant with her third child, and her husband dies. She had no means of support. And so my dad told me that quite often He and his siblings, his brother and his sister, were very hungry. They went hungry. He was a skinny little boy, skinny little kid. And I saw some pictures of him. And he told me that back in the day, because that was a long time ago, back in the day when he was a child, they used to deliver bread and milk on trucks to homes. And they put them on their front porch, like their stoop. So they bring the milk, and they bring the bread, and they put it on the, so these trucks would be driving around neighborhoods bringing bread and milk. And my father used to tell me that because they were so poor, he would go around stealing it. He would go and steal it because he was so hungry. They had no food. And he said that he didn't even have a bed to sleep on. What he would do is, he said he got a giant garbage bag and he stuffed rags in it, and he put that on the floor so that when he laid on it, it wasn't as hard as the floor beneath him. He didn't have a bed. And so he was raised super poor. And then, of course, he married my mom, 4 kids. I'm the fourth child. I'm the baby of the family. They struggled too. So how was I raised? And the reason why I mention that is because you're programmed when you're young. And many people that go through these experiences of financial struggle, it gets passed on. And it gets passed on subconsciously. Because when we're young, we're just taking in with our senses. And that's how we're building our beliefs. And we're also hearing things, and that's our senses, right? So I used to hear my parents fighting about lack, fighting about bills, fighting about things that they wanted. And if one of their children, let's say me or my brothers or sister, went to our parents and said, I'd like something, I want that toy, or I want a new pair of pants or whatever. I used to go to school and rip clothes. We were yelled at. Not, I'm sorry, honey, we don't have the money right now. None of that. It was like, who do you think you are? I mean, we were screamed at. So my experience with money was not a good one growing up. However, I loved earning it. And my father used to run a Becker store, which is a convenience store, kind of like a 7-Eleven type of thing. And I remember when I was young, I was probably about 8 or 9, and I would ask my dad, I said, can I come and help you at the store? And he'd say, sure. And the things that were sold most in the convenience store were bread and milk. So I would, put more milk in the cooler, and I'd put bread, and then I'd turn the cans and have them all face out on the shelves. And he would pay me like a quarter, 25 cents for working in the store. And I loved earning money. And then my mother used to work in a factory. And when I was 11, I asked her, I said, could I go work in the factory with you in the summer when I'm not in school? And she asked the owner, and he said, yes. I used to go and work in a factory. And I used to get this envelope at the end of the week with a little stack of money in it. And it was like amazing. And then when I was 14, I started working in a grocery store part-time. And then when I was 17 and I finished school, I started working full-time, but I kept my part-time job. And I did that because I was loving earning money. This was something that I fell in love with. And I realized that it didn't matter where you are or what your circumstance were, there's always an opportunity to earn money. So I got involved in that at an early age. But the programming that was there was definitely instilled within me from a poor upbringing, from what my parents had gone through. So I had to change it. And I had to change it through space-time repetition. As I'm saying here today, you think and feel as the person you desire to be. And that's the same thing, prosperity. If you desire to have prosperity in your life, you must think and feel as a prosperous person. And when you do that, day after day after day after day after day after day after day, and it must be like that day after day after day after day after day, you will start to see the positive results. But it takes time, and you've got to be very aware of what's going on in your consciousness, in your thinking space, and in your heart, in your feeling space. You've got to be paying attention. You've got to be aware every single day so that you ensure that the moment a negative thought pops into your conscious mind, you replace it. And you replace it with a positive thought, a positive affirmation. So what you could do is you could have affirmations on standby, ready. It's like, let's say I was a carpenter or a handyman or handy woman, and I fix things. Well, if you called the handy person, handy woman, and said, hey, we've got something wrong here, and I went to fix it, I would show up with tools. And depending on what's wrong, I would pull out of my toolbox the tool that I'm going to use for, for the issue or for the challenge. It's the same thing with prosperity consciousness. What tools do you need? What do you need to be focusing on? Are your issues around not enough? Are your issues that you don't deserve it? Are your issues around it's difficult to earn? What is it? And then you create the affirmation, the prosperity affirmation that's in alignment with only what you desire. So let's try a couple on for size. And here's one of mine. I am a happy and a healthy multi-millionaire. How does that feel? Do you like that one? If so, try it on for size for you. Go and say it in front of the mirror, even more impactful. I remember when I started saying, I am a happy and healthy multimillionaire. It was back in the 90s, like the 1990s. I started saying that affirmation. And I remember standing in front of the mirror and looking at myself eye to eye in front of the mirror and saying, I am a happy and healthy multimillionaire. And I remember hearing this little voice going, bull, right? Yeah, right. Almost like sarcasm. And I realized that that's not supportive. So I had to squash that voice. I'm not going to listen to that. I am a happy and a healthy multimillionaire. And so you say it with conviction. You say it as if you mean it, and say it with me now. I am a happy and a healthy multimillionaire. What does that feel like? Right? What does that feel like? You probably have a smile on your face right now. And you practice that every day. And you may not say it once. You may say it 185 times a day or hundreds of times a day. This morning, I was sitting in my office and I was between appointments. And I was just, studying, a number of the books that I study every single day. And I remember reading one of Robert A. Russell's book. And the book that is called You Too Can Be Prosperous. And in this book, Robert A. Russell suggests to the reader to say these 3 words 100 times. I am prosperity. I am prosperity. Now, I like to say I am prosperous. I am prosperous. And he suggests say it 100 times. So I was waiting for a meeting, and I was a Zoom meeting that I was having with one of my clients, and I grabbed my journal and I just started saying, I am prosperity, I am prosperity, I am prosperity, I am prosperity. And I was just checking off how many times I was saying it. And I got to 100 in a matter of a few minutes. And he had also said, say that multiple times a day. And I thought, how perfect that I was looking at that and reading that book today when we are going to be joining together here. And the point is that if you choose that affirmation, I am prosperity, or I am prosperous, or I am a happy and healthy multimillionaire, whatever you choose to declare every single day, what's essential for it to really work for you is to tie the emotion. So as you're saying it, feel it. As you're saying it, feel it. And maybe you want to do what I just suggested and say, I am prosperity 100 times, maybe 100 times in the morning, 100 times at noon, 100 times at night, or 100 times every hour. Because as I mentioned, it doesn't take that long to say it over and over again. I remember years ago working with a client of mine who told me that in the beginning, when he married his wife, they used to struggle all the time financially. And they found that they'd get to the end of the month and they would just not have enough money, or they'd be trying to make ends meet. You've heard that expression before. And so they decided to declare that they had an extra $1,000 every single month. And they felt it, right? They didn't just say it, they felt it. You've got to feel it. And so they would say that over and over and over again. And then it was working for them. And then they thought, wow, maybe it'll work with another amount of money, like $10,000. So they started saying that. And then they just started saying, I always have an abundance of money to do whatever I want to do. I always have an abundance of money to do whatever I want to do. I always have an abundance of money to do whatever I want to do. Now, how does that feel? Is that an affirmation that you like? If so, grab on and have that become one of your affirmations. Nobody owns these words. You can use those. You could say that as well. And I want to wrap up this with an affirmation, or not an affirmation, it's kind of like a statement that I learned from Napoleon Hill in his book called Think and Grow Rich. And here's what he said. Napoleon Hill said, no more effort is required to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity, than it is to accept misery and poverty. Now, if you heard that right, no more effort. That should be like good news to you, really good news to you. No more effort is required to aim high in life. The same effort to manifest $1 will manifest $100 or $100,000 or $1,000,000 or $10 million or $100 million or $1 billion. No more effort. What does he mean by that? No more effort. It's really what we've been talking about here for the last 20 or so minutes, that you think and you feel as a prosperous person. You think and you feel as if you already have what you desire, and you get into the habit. Habit means that you're doing it almost unconsciously. You're doing it repetitively every single day. You want to establish that habit, because when you establish that habit, everything changes. But you've got to do the work. I can't do it for you. You must do the work. But it's fun work. And what's best and even better is what it produces for you. There's so much power locked up in you. You've just tapped into a tiny percent of what that is. There's so much more that you can do. There's so much more that you can create. There's so much more that you can enjoy. And life is meant to be enjoyed. Life is meant to be fun. And we live in an abundant world. There's an abundance out there. And it's just waiting for you to name it and claim it. All right. So there you go, my friends. I hope you took some notes. But more importantly, I hope you follow through. That's really important, that you follow through. Now, we had a question that came in prior to starting this call today that I want to address. It's a question from Renata. And I think this is a really important question. So I'm grateful that Renata is here right now. And so Renata's question is, oh, we got a whole bunch of them that have come in now. Wow, all right, rocking and rolling with the questions. Okay, Renata says, Peggy mentioned something this is Bob Proctor, said today that got to her and quite frankly got to me. If you're not in love with your goal, it is the wrong goal. And she went on to say, if you're even asking the question, you've got the wrong goal. So the question is, what does one do next? I like my goal, but not totally feeling in love with it. Thoughts? And thank you if I'm in the wrong place, but feel free to correct me. You're in the perfect place, Renata. Thank you for asking that. So what you do is you just say, what is a goal that I'm in love with? What is a goal that I'm in love with? And just keep asking yourself the question. If you get the answer now, perfect. You've got the answer. It may not come right away. It may take a little while. But if you could have, do, be, experience anything, what would it be? What would it be? You've got to push the paradigms aside while you're answering that question, but just ask yourself, if I could have, do, be, experience anything. If Peggy got her magic wand out, where's my magic wand? I know you're in here somewhere. Where's my magic wand? There it is. And she waved it at me. Boop, boop. Granted my wish. What would it be? That's how you can determine what it is. And if you're not sure exactly what it is right now, don't keep thinking you don't know what it is. Just give thanks, give thanks, give thanks. All right. The next question is from Ash. Ash says, I'm imagining having a financial independent life, a purely liberating thought with my mama. It's so joyful, but I need to ask you one thing, one block that's blocking me from everything, even imagining good things. Can you please respond? A doctor scared me last year that I have something terrible. I don't know. I never had any tests. I feel fine, but I am petrified to ever go there again. I feel and believe I have no disease. Why should I do? I'm so scared. I can't even think anything good. I can never go visit someone like her. I have no disease. I feel okay. Or what should I do? How should I get this terrible fear out of the system? Please help me. Okay, Ash. The only reason why the fear is there is you let it in. Okay, you let it in. So understand, you are in control of how you feel. It sounds like you've got some conflicting thoughts going on here. You're saying to me that you're healthy, but you're allowing somebody else to influence you. Don't let that happen. You take control of your mind, take control of your consciousness, and only focus on perfect health. See yourself in perfect health. And Ash, if you don't have a Power Life script, get one, write one, record it, listen to it, start listening to it today. So Lynn put the link powerlifescript.com in all the platforms so you can check that out. Just only focus on what you desire. This is one way, and it's the most powerful technique I've ever used that will absolutely change your conditioning. Thank you for asking. Okay, Zambiza says, what affirmations can I use to increase my income? Well, how much do you want? I would say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm easily earning, and then declare. Remember what I said, Napoleon Hill, the quote, no more effort is required. So when it comes to income, how much would you love to be earning? And that's what you affirm. So if you want to earn $100,000 a year, I'm so happy and grateful, I'm easily earning $100,000 a year. If you want to earn $10 million a year, I'm so happy and grateful, I'm easily earning $10 million a year. If you want to earn $2.5 million, whatever it is, just say what it is that you desire. Okay, Denise. Now I answered your question, Denise, but your paradigm didn't let it in, but I'm going to answer it again, okay? So Denise said, how do you feel like a millionaire if you only have $10,000? So how do you do it? With your imagination. You imagine you're a multimillionaire with your thoughts and your feelings. That's what this whole session was all about. You imagine it. You're in control of what's going on in here. So use your imagination to serve you, to create what it is that you desire. All right, we have a couple more questions. We're going to call it a wrap for today. And the question is, did your own paradigm shift and quantum leap help your family with their own paradigm, and how? Love this question, Karina. And what is the technique to write with the non-dominant hand? Okay, let's answer the first question. Did your own paradigm shift and quantum leap help your family with their own paradigm? All right, so yes, absolutely, Myquan. I am here today as a multimillionaire. Now, I wasn't before as a kid. I wasn't, but I'm teaching you what I do. I'm not making up stuff and just spewing out words that I read in some book. I'm living it, okay? I'm living it, but I did the work. I've been doing the work for a long time, so absolutely I had paradigm shifts and quantum leaps as well. Now, interestingly enough, my family has been having them too, especially my sister, Judy. I know I've positively influenced her, and she's older than me. But Judy, and now Judy's always been very wise with money. She's been a really good saver. She's been cautiously investing. So, she was in a good place. But Judy had desire for more in her life, and I helped her accomplish that. Now, with my mom and dad, when I started to become even more wealthy, I started helping them. And sadly, in the 90s, my brother died, and then my father had a stroke, and he couldn't handle it. He ended up in a nursing home, and then then they had extra expenses, and my mother was dealing with the loss of a child that was incredibly hard for her. So I helped them. And I know they appreciated it. And I appreciated being able to help them as well. Now, the other question Karina asks is, what is the technique to write with the non-dominant hand? Yeah, this is a technique that Bob Proctor recommends at some of his live events, is that you take a pen. Now, I'm right-handed, so you take a pen with your left hand and you write your affirmation over and over again. And the reason is because it breaks your patterns. You break your patterns of paradigms because we're used to writing with our right hand, and you just recognize it's much more challenging. And this is what we're talking about here today. We're talking about creating beliefs within you that aren't there, so it's going to feel awkward. And that's the idea behind writing with your non-dominant hand, is the awkwardness of this. All right. Oh, I see Elvira has a question too. So Celine, it's on YouTube. If you want to grab that, I'd love to answer Elvira's question as well. Okay, Limitless Sarah. I love that name, Limitless Sarah. What a great name you have, Sarah. So Sarah says, what if I feel like I'm not smart enough or business savvy enough to run my own business? I'm laughing because I can totally relate to that one, Sarah. How do I know which actions to take? Okay, such a brilliant question. Thank you, Sarah, for asking. Okay, first of all, you your paradigm is simply showing up. You've got to change that. You've got to understand that you have absolutely enough common sense and smarts to run a successful business. And I'm laughing because when I started my business, when I incorporated my company, now you remember I told you my father was running a Becker store, and after that he became a janitor. My mother was working at a factory, and then later she started working as a clerk in a grocery store. So I didn't have entrepreneurial parents. I didn't have parents going, hey, head out and get your own company going. You're going to be a success. If anything, it was the opposite. Like, what are you, nuts? You're gonna let go of a corporate job where you get automatic payroll deposit to start a company where you have no idea of being successful? And do you know how many businesses fail within the first years? I mean, it was like, oh my goodness. And all well-meaning, good intention, yet negative paradigms. Only what they believed. So you got to create a belief system within you of a successful entrepreneur. You must be a successful entrepreneur before you'll ever experience the result of a successful entrepreneur. What I would suggest, Limitless Sarah, if you haven't done this already, is you also get a Power Life script. Everyone on this call should be getting a Power Life script. I think everyone in the world should have their own Power Life script because it will reprogram your mind. Elvira says, how do I focus on my goals if I'm anxious about not having income at the moment? Whenever I go back to feeling good, I confess the anxiety activates and it feels paralyzing. Totally understand that, Elvira. It would feel paralyzing. So what do you want to do? You want to think about what you want. You don't want to think about what you don't want, but you don't think about what you want as something in the future. You think about it here now. So what I would suggest is saturate your mind with only thoughts that are in support of what you desire. You see, when I wrote my own Power Life script back in the 90s, when I made a decision to really change my paradigms, I didn't listen to it once. I listened to it multiple times every single day. Why? Because this is how you change your paradigms. It's through space-time repetition. Now, how does that occur? What you're putting in, right? Oh, Sharon says, I sleep with my Power Life script on. I love that. That's brilliant. And I have story after story after story of people that have been using their Power Life script to change their income, change their relationships, change their health, change their life. And it works. Why it works is because you're reprogramming your subconscious mind, which is so powerful, incredibly powerful. Okay, how many affirmations with your opposite? Oh, you mean with your other hand? I actually don't do that. I don't do the opposite hand. I'm not sure if that's what you mean, Elaine. So Elaine's question here is how many affirmations with your opposite? Do you mean how many do you write with your opposite hand? One, I believe, is the answer. Zara says, when you're programming the subconscious mind, do you say I am or you are? Bob says the former, but your PLS says the latter. No, I actually have two versions. I have two versions in Power Life Script. I say I am. You should say I am. But the reason in my Power Life Script I have another version, which is you are, is because I want you to hear it from me too. So think about this, okay? Zara, think about this. Like if you had someone in your life, let's say it's someone that you really love and you care about. Could be your mother, could be your father, could be your spouse. I'm not sure how old you are or what your situation is, but just think about this. If someone that you respect and cares about you said something to you over and over and over again, like, Zara, you're so beautiful, you're so smart, you're incredible, and said that to you over and over again, what's going to happen? You're going to feel you are beautiful. You're going to think, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm whatever, right? So it's someone else saying it to you. So in the Power Life Script program, what I did was I suggest, write your own as I am. But if you want to hear me speaking to you, I recorded a bunch as if I'm talking to you as an additional way to build your paradigms. Okay? That's why I did it. Okay. All right. Lukash, I'm going to finish up with this question, and we're really going to call it a day. And Lukash is asking, how do I get unstuck within a month? Decide, saturate, like just every minute like you have available, just only read positive materials. Do you have a copy of Savvy Wisdom? Get this book. This is a phenomenal book. This is just sweeping the nation. People are in love with this book. The reviews are exceptional. So read from great books. Read Savvy Wisdom. Study every single day. do your powerless script, do affirmations, like implement, implement, implement. It's not enough to just watch sessions online or on YouTube. And thank you very much, Sheila. And gather this information. You've got to implement, okay? I remember hearing Bob Proctor say many years ago, no amount of reading, no amount of going to seminars, no amount of watching videos or listening to audios is going to do anything for you unless and until you understand it and then you apply it. All right? So the understanding is like, I'm explaining to you, I'm giving the understanding, and I make suggestions on how to apply it. Do that, and your life will change for the better. All right? Okay, my friends, what a pleasure it is to be with you. Celine and I love these events so much. We love being here. We love serving you. We're definitely going to come back again. Please watch. Make sure you're following us. Also, share it with others too. Bring other friends and get them on the calls. Watch the recordings as well. Watch the YouTube videos. I was put on this planet to serve people. I decided back in the 80s that I had changed my life for the better. And the only thing I wanted to do was help other people as well. So what a pleasure it is to be here to serve you guys. I look forward to seeing you again, but make sure you put this into practice today. All right. Thank you, Celine. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you guys again real soon. Bye-bye for now.